To our amazing viewers at Cheating Tales Lab, welcome and thank you. Your presence makes these stories worth sharing. We'd love to hear, which part of the world are you joining us from? Let us know. Now, let's dive into today's story. Benjamin Ben Morrison had always prided himself on being 3 steps ahead of everyone else. At 38, he owned Morrison Security Consulting, a private firm that specialized in corporate espionage prevention and personal protection for high-net-worth individuals. His military background as a Navy SEAL had taught him patience, precision, and most importantly, that trust was a luxury he couldn't afford, except when it came to his family. The Morrison household in Westfield, Connecticut, had been the picture of suburban perfection. Ben's wife, Diana, was a real estate agent who had sold million-dollar homes with the same ease she'd sold him on the idea of their forever love 8 years ago. Their son, Tyler, was a bright 9-year-old who'd inherited Ben's analytical mind and Diana's charm. Ben had met Diana at a charity gala in Manhattan. She was 26 then, recently divorced from her college sweetheart, Rick Hoffman, and working to rebuild her life. Ben was immediately drawn to her vulnerability, masked by fierce independence. She claimed Rick had been controlling and emotionally abusive, painting herself as the victim who'd escaped a toxic marriage. Ben, being the protector he was, fell hard for both her story and her beauty. What Ben didn't know was that Diana had left Rick for a wealthier client. But when that relationship imploded, she'd strategically positioned herself to meet someone like Ben, successful, stable, and emotionally available. Rick, meanwhile, had spent the years since their divorce building a construction company, staying single, and harboring the hope that Diana would return to him someday. The morning that shattered Ben's world started like any other. He'd returned early from a 3-day business trip to Chicago, planning to surprise Diana and Tyler. Instead, he found their Westfield home empty, with a note on the kitchen counter written in Diana's careful handwriting. Ben, I can't pretend anymore. Rick and I never stopped loving each other. I've sold the house. The papers are in your office. Tyler and I have moved in with Rick. We can discuss custody arrangements through lawyers. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be. Diana. Ben read the note 3 times before the reality hit him. He checked his office and found the house sale documents. Diana had forged his signature on a power of attorney 4 months ago and sold their $800,000 home to a quick sale company for $650,000. The money had already been transferred to an account he'd never seen before. But it was the custody papers attached that made his blood run cold. Diana was claiming he was an unfit father due to his dangerous profession and extended absences, requesting full custody with supervised visitation only. Ben's phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. Dad, I'm at Uncle Rick's house now. Mom says this is our new home. I miss you. Can you come get me? The betrayal cut deeper than any wound Ben had sustained in combat. Diana hadn't just left him. She'd planned this for months, possibly years. The forged documents, the strategic timing while he was away, the custody play, it was all calculated. Ben walked through his empty house, each room echoing with memories that now felt like lies. In Tyler's room, he found a small notebook hidden under the mattress. Inside, Tyler had been keeping a diary of sorts, with entries like, Mom talks to Uncle Rick every night when Dad's not home, and Mom said Uncle Rick is my real dad, but I know that's not true. That's when Ben realized Tyler had known something was wrong. His son, his brilliant, observant son, had been watching, waiting, and apparently planning something of his own. Ben drove to Rick's construction company office, a modest building in Bridgeport. He needed to see Tyler to understand what his son had done and to begin planning his response. Rick Hoffman was a tall, rugged man with calloused hands and an easy smile that had once charmed Diana. Now, seeing him again after 8 years, Ben could see why Diana had been drawn to him. Rick represented a simpler time in her life, before ambition and social climbing had hardened her. Ben, Rick said, stepping out of his office trailer. I figured you'd show up. Where's my son? He's inside with Diana. Look, I know this is messed up, but Diana and we never got proper closure. We have history. Ben studied Rick carefully. Despite the situation, he didn't sense malice in the man, more like someone who'd been lonely and vulnerable to Diana's manipulation. History doesn't give you the right to steal my family. I didn't steal anything. Diana made her choice. Before Ben could respond, Tyler burst out of the trailer, running straight into his father's arms. "Dad, I knew you'd come." Diana appeared in the doorway, looking uncomfortable but defiant. "Tyler, get back inside. Your father and I need to talk." "Actually," Tyler said, grinning up at Ben, "I think Dad's going to want to hear what I did first." Ben knelt down to Tyler's level. "What are you talking about, buddy?" Tyler's grin widened. "Remember how you taught me about insurance policies and backup plans? Well, I made my own backup plan." Diana's face went pale. "Tyler, don't." 3 months ago, when Mom started acting weird and talking to Uncle Rick all the time, I started recording their phone calls," Tyler announced proudly. "I hid your old surveillance equipment in Mom's purse and her car. I have hours of recordings of them planning this whole thing." Ben felt a surge of pride mixed with concern. His son had been conducting his own investigation. "That's not all, Dad. I also made copies of all the papers Mom was hiding in her secret box, including the ones where she practiced forging your signature. And," Tyler paused dramatically, "I may have accidentally sent all of it to someone." "Who?" Diana whispered, her confident facade crumbling. Tyler looked at his father with innocent eyes. "Your friend Marcus from the FBI. I thought he might want to know about the fraud stuff. He seemed nice when he came to dinner last month." Ben's mind raced. Marcus Valdez was indeed an FBI agent, specializing in financial crimes. If Tyler had actually sent evidence of Diana's fraud to Marcus, the implications were staggering. "Tyler, when did you send this?" Ben asked. "Yesterday morning, right before we moved here. I wanted to make sure it got sent before anything happened to the computer." Diana and Rick exchanged terrified glances. Ben stood up slowly, a cold smile spreading across his face. This changed everything. That evening, Ben sat in his hotel room. He couldn't bear to stay in the empty house, reviewing everything Tyler had secretly documented. His son had been more thorough than most professional investigators. The recordings revealed not just the affair, but Diana's calculated plan to manipulate Rick's emotions while systematically stealing from Ben. The most damning recording was Diana explaining to Rick how she'd been slowly transferring money from Ben's business accounts to hidden accounts, planning to claim half of everything in the divorce while keeping the stolen funds secret. She'd also been feeding information about Ben's clients to competitors, costing him several major contracts. But it was Tyler's final recording that made Ben's blood boil. Diana telling Rick, "Tyler's just a complication. Once we get full custody and the house money, we can send him to boarding school. He's too much like Ben, too observant, too smart. He'll figure out everything eventually." Ben called Marcus Valdez, who confirmed that Tyler's package had indeed arrived at the FBI field office. "Ben, this is serious stuff. Wire fraud, forgery, identity theft. Your wife is looking at federal charges. But there's something else you should know. We've been investigating Rick's company for potential tax evasion. This could give us leverage." "What kind of leverage?" "The kind that could make both their lives very complicated, very quickly." Ben spent the rest of the night planning. Diana thought she'd played the perfect game, but she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd underestimated both Ben and their son. Tyler's evidence was the foundation, but Ben needed to build something more comprehensive, more devastating. He started by calling his business attorney, Carol Winters, a shark who specialized in complex litigation. "Carol, I need you to freeze every account Diana has access to, file emergency custody motions, and begin asset recovery proceedings. Use the FBI evidence as grounds for fraud." Next, he contacted his client network. Diana's real estate license was about to become worthless when word spread about her criminal activities. Ben had helped protect several powerful people's secrets. Now it was time to call in favors. But the centerpiece of Ben's revenge would be more personal. He'd spent years learning his enemy's weaknesses, studying human psychology, mastering the art of patient, calculated retaliation. Diana and Rick had declared war on his family. Now they would learn what war with Benjamin Morrison actually looked like. As he sat planning, Ben received a text from Tyler. "Dad, are you proud of me? I know you always said to have evidence before making accusations. I hope I did good." Ben typed back, "You did perfect, son. Now let Daddy handle the rest." Tyler replied, "Are you going to make them sorry?" Ben stared at the message for a long moment before responding. "They already are. They just don't know it yet." 3 days later, Diana's world began crumbling faster than she could comprehend. Ben had spent those days methodically destroying every foundation of her new life with Rick, starting with their finances. Carol Winters had worked her magic through the courts. Every account Diana had touched was frozen pending fraud investigation. The house sale was halted by a federal judge who ruled that property obtained through forged documents couldn't be legally transferred. Rick's construction company accounts were also frozen when the FBI discovered irregularities that tied back to Diana's financial activities. Ben's network of clients proved devastatingly effective. Diana's real estate firm received anonymous tips about her criminal investigation, leading to her immediate suspension. Rick's construction company lost 3 major contracts in 2 days when Ben's clients, influential developers in the area, decided they couldn't risk association with companies under federal investigation. But Ben's masterstroke was psychological. He knew Diana's greatest fear was losing control, being seen as a failure. So he orchestrated a campaign that made her feel helpless while making it look like natural consequences. Tyler called Ben that morning, his voice excited. "Dad, Mom's freaking out. She's been on the phone all day, crying and yelling." Uncle Rick looked scared too. "They keep talking about needing money for lawyers." "How are you holding up, buddy?" "I'm good. I'm writing everything down like you taught me. Mom doesn't know I understand what's happening, but I do. She's in big trouble, isn't she?" Ben felt that familiar surge of pride in his son's intelligence. "Yes, she is. Are you okay with that?" Tyler was quiet for a moment. "Dad, I heard her tell Uncle Rick that she never wanted me anyway, that I was just part of her plan to get your money. I know she's my mom, but I don't want to live with someone who doesn't want me." The pain in his son's voice ignited something cold and dangerous in Ben's chest. Diana hadn't just betrayed him. She'd emotionally damaged their child. That was unforgivable. "Tyler, listen to me. You're going to come home very soon. But until then, I need you to be strong and keep watching. Can you do that?" "Yes, sir." "Dad, will you still want me even though I'm her son too?" Ben had to take a deep breath before answering. "Tyler, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. You're my son, and that will never change. What she did has nothing to do with you." After hanging up, Ben called his friend Jake Reeves, a private investigator who specialized in surveillance and information gathering. "Jake, I need you to watch Rick Hoffman's house 24/7. I want to know every visitor, every conversation you can pick up, every movement. And I need dirt on both of them, the kind that goes beyond financial crimes." "What kind of dirt?" "The kind that destroys lives permanently." Jake was quiet for a moment. "Ben, how far are you planning to take this?" "As far as necessary. They declared war on my family, Jake. I'm going to finish it." By the end of the week, Diana was desperate enough to make her first major mistake. She called Ben. Her voice barely controlled panic. "Ben, we need to talk. This has gone too far." "Has it?" "Because from where I'm sitting, it's just getting started. The FBI froze everything. Rick might lose his business. I can't even access my commission accounts. That tends to happen when you commit federal crimes. I made mistakes, okay? But we can work this out. We don't have to destroy each other." Ben laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. "Destroy each other? Diana, you don't have anything left to lose that I haven't already taken or can't take. But you're right, we should talk. Meet me at Millstone Cafe tomorrow at noon. Come alone." The next day, Ben arrived at the cafe early, choosing a corner table where Jake had already placed recording equipment. When Diana walked in, Ben barely recognized her. The confident, polished woman he'd married was gone, replaced by someone who looked haggard and desperate. "You look terrible," Ben observed as she sat down. "Don't be cruel, Ben. I know you're angry." "Angry?" Ben interrupted. "Diana, I'm not angry. Anger is a hot emotion. What I am is cold, calculated, and completely committed to watching you pay for what you've done." Diana's hands shook as she reached for her coffee. "What do you want? Money? I'll give you everything back." "Everything back?" Ben leaned forward. "Can you give me back the 8 years I wasted loving someone who was stealing from me? Can you give Tyler back his sense of security? Can you undo the damage you've done to our son's ability to trust?" "Tyler will be fine. Kids are resilient." "Tyler heard you tell Rick you never wanted him, that he was just part of your plan." Diana's face went white. "Yeah, my son tells me things. He also told me about the times you left him alone overnight when I was traveling, so you could be with Rick." 8 years old, Diana. You left an 8-year-old alone in the house." That was only a few times. Child endangerment charges are federal when they cross state lines for the purposes of fraud. Did you know that?" Diana started crying. "Please, Ben. I'll do anything. I'll give you full custody. I'll disappear. You'll do all of that anyway. See, Diana, you still don't understand. This isn't a negotiation. This is me telling you what's going to happen. Ben slid a manila envelope across the table. Open it. Inside were photographs that made Diana gasp. Pictures of her meeting with a man Ben didn't recognize at what looked like a motel. Who is this, Diana? I don't know what you mean. His name is Craig Powell. He's married, with 2 kids. He's also your real estate mentor from 5 years ago. The one you've been having an affair with this whole time, even while you were supposedly rekindling things with Rick. Diana's face crumpled. How did you? I'm very good at my job. Craig's wife is a lovely woman named Jennifer. She's a pediatric nurse. They've been married 12 years. Would you like to guess what happens when she receives copies of these photos along with evidence that you've been stealing money to fund hotel rooms? Ben, please. Craig's been helping you hide money, hasn't he? That's how you financed this whole operation. He opened accounts for you, helped you transfer funds. Now he's going to prison alongside you. Ben stood up. See, the beautiful thing about dominoes is that once you start them falling, you can't stop them. You set this in motion when you decided to destroy our family. Now I'm just following through. That afternoon, Ben received a call that accelerated his timeline. Jake had been monitoring Rick's house when he witnessed something that changed everything. Ben, you need to hear this. Rick just threw Diana out. I mean, literally. Her bags are on the lawn, and he's screaming at her about how she lied to him about ending things with this Craig guy. What specifically did he say? He found out she's been playing both him and Craig, telling each one they were her true love while married to you. Rick's calling her every name in the book. But here's the interesting part. She's not leaving. She's sitting on his front steps, begging him to let her back in. Ben felt a cold satisfaction. Diana's support system was collapsing exactly as he'd planned. Where's Tyler? He's inside with Rick. From what I can see through the windows, the kid is just sitting at the kitchen table, doing homework. He seems remarkably calm for a 9-year-old watching his mother have a breakdown. He's a strong kid. What else? Rick's on the phone with someone now. Looks like he's trying to get legal advice. My guess is he wants to distance himself from Diana before the federal charges hit. Ben smiled. Perfect. That means Tyler's going to need somewhere to go very soon. 2 hours later, Tyler called. Dad, Uncle Rick says I can't stay here anymore. He says Mom lied to him about a lot of things, and he doesn't want to be involved. Can you come get me? I'm already on my way, son. When Ben arrived at Rick's house, he found Diana sitting on the front steps, mascara streaked down her face, surrounded by suitcases. Rick stood in the doorway with Tyler beside him. Take the kid, Rick said without preamble. I'm done with all of this. Diana, you're not welcome here anymore. Rick, please, Diana started. You lied about everything. You told me Craig meant nothing, that it was over, that you chose me. Then I find out you've been seeing him the whole time Ben was in Chicago. You're still married to Ben, still sleeping with Craig, and using me as your backup plan. Tyler walked past his mother without a word and climbed into Ben's car. Ben paused at Diana's side. Hotel room receipts, Diana. Dating back 2 years. Craig's been paying for them with a credit card linked to one of your hidden accounts. Rick found the statements. Diana looked up at him, her face destroyed. How could you possibly know about? Because I know everything. Every account, every lie, every secret meeting. I've been building a case against you for 6 months. 6 months? But you only found out 3 days ago. Ben smiled coldly. I found out about Rick 3 days ago. I've known about Craig for half a year. I've been waiting to see how far you'd go. He leaned down to her level. Did you really think a man who makes his living exposing secrets wouldn't notice when his own wife was keeping them? The realization hit Diana like a physical blow. You knew? This whole time. I knew enough. Tyler's investigation just filled in the gaps and gave me the legal evidence I needed. Ben stood up. Enjoy the hotel, Diana. It's the last luxury you'll have for a very long time. As Ben drove away with Tyler, his son was quiet for several minutes before speaking. Dad, how long have you really known about Mom? Ben glanced at his son in the rearview mirror. A while, buddy. I was trying to figure out the best way to handle it without hurting you. I'm not hurt, Dad. I'm angry. She made us both look stupid. No, son. She made herself look stupid. We just documented it. Tyler smiled, and Ben saw his own determination reflected in his son's eyes. What happens now? Now, we make sure she never hurts anyone else's family again. 2 weeks later, Diana's desperation reached its peak. Living in a motel, with all her accounts frozen and her real estate license suspended, she made the call Ben had been waiting for. Ben, I'll sign anything. Give you anything. Just make this stop. It's too late for that, Diana. What do you mean it's too late? You have everything. The house. Tyler, my career is ruined. What more do you want? I want you to understand something. This was never about the money or even the house. This was about you thinking you could manipulate my family and get away with it. Ben was sitting in his office, watching multiple monitors that showed surveillance feeds from Diana's motel, Craig's house, and Rick's workplace. His network had expanded beyond anything Diana could have imagined. There's something you should know, Ben continued. Craig's wife Jennifer filed for divorce yesterday. She's taking the kids and half of everything he owns. Craig's construction business, the one he was using to launder your stolen money, is being audited by the IRS. How is that possible? Because Jennifer is a smart woman who doesn't like being played for a fool. When I showed her the evidence of Craig's involvement in your fraud scheme, she decided to protect herself and her children. Diana's breathing became labored. You're destroying innocent people. No, Diana. You destroyed innocent people. I'm just making sure the consequences reach everyone who participated. Ben pulled up another screen. Speaking of consequences, have you checked your voicemail lately? What voicemail? The one from the federal prosecutor's office. You've been indicted on 12 counts of wire fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. Craig got 15 counts. The trial starts in 3 months. The line went quiet except for Diana's sobbing. Here's what's going to happen, Ben continued. You're going to plead guilty to avoid a trial that would destroy what little reputation you have left. You're going to serve your sentence quietly. And when you get out, you're going to disappear from Tyler's life forever. I'm his mother. You forfeited that title when you told Rick you never wanted him. I have recordings, Diana. Multiple recordings of you saying Tyler was a mistake, a burden, a complication in your plans. Ben's voice dropped to a whisper. But here's the part you're really going to hate. Tyler doesn't want to see you anymore. Not for visits, not for phone calls, not for letters. Yesterday, he asked me to help him legally change his last name to Morrison only. He wants to remove every trace of your family name from his identity. You turned him against me. I didn't have to. You did that yourself when you chose 2 other men over your own child. Ben's revenge wasn't complete until everyone who had participated in betraying his family faced consequences. He'd spent weeks orchestrating a chain reaction that would destroy Diana's entire support network. Craig Powell was the next domino to fall. Ben had discovered that Craig's construction business was built on fraudulent loan applications and tax evasion. When the FBI raided his offices, they found evidence not just of the money laundering scheme with Diana, but of a larger pattern of fraud dating back years. Craig's wife Jennifer had proved to be an unexpected ally. Once she understood the scope of her husband's betrayal, she provided additional evidence that buried him completely. Craig was looking at 25 years in federal prison. Rick Hoffman was more complicated. Ben's investigation revealed that Rick was genuinely a victim of Diana's manipulation, but he'd still participated in breaking up a family and taking another man's child. For Rick, Ben chose a different kind of justice. Ben owned significant influence in the construction industry through his security clients. Within a month, Rick found himself blacklisted from every major project in Connecticut and the surrounding states. His business slowly suffocated as contracts dried up and suppliers stopped extending credit. The final piece was Diana herself. Facing 15 years in prison and the complete destruction of her life, she took the plea deal Ben's prosecutor friend had crafted. 5 years in federal prison, full restitution of stolen funds, and permanent relinquishment of parental rights. But Ben had one last surprise for her. On the day Diana was scheduled to surrender to federal authorities, Ben arranged for Tyler to be at school for an important test. He wanted his son focused on his future, not watching his mother's final downfall. Ben himself drove Diana to the federal courthouse, a gesture that surprised her. "Why are you here?" she asked as they sat in his car outside the building. "Because I want to see you walk through those doors knowing that you did this to yourself." "Ben, I know you hate me, but someday Tyler might want to know his mother." "No." Ben's voice was final. "Tyler has made it clear he wants nothing to do with you. And even if he changes his mind when he's older, you'll have nothing to offer him. No money, no home, no career, no relationships. You'll be a woman who destroyed her family for nothing." Ben handed her a final envelope. "This is Tyler's statement to the court. He asked me to give it to you. With shaking hands, Diana opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper with Tyler's careful handwriting. Mom, Dad says I should write down how I feel about everything that happened. I feel sorry for you because you threw away the best family in the world for people who didn't really love you. Dad and I love each other, and we're going to be fine without you. I hope prison helps you figure out how to be a better person. I won't be waiting for you when you get out, but I hope you find happiness somewhere else. Goodbye forever. Tyler Morrison. Diana broke down completely, but Ben felt nothing. No satisfaction, no pity, no regret. 5 years, Diana. When you get out, if you ever come near my son or try to contact him, I'll destroy you again. And next time, I won't be as merciful. 3 months after Diana began her prison sentence, Ben and Tyler had built a new life that was stronger than the old one. They'd moved to a new house in Westport, closer to Tyler's new school and Ben's office. The house was smaller than their old one, but it felt more like home than anywhere they'd lived before. Tyler thrived in his new environment. His grades improved, he made friends easily, and he showed no signs of missing his mother. Ben had arranged for counseling sessions, but Tyler seemed remarkably well-adjusted for a child who'd witnessed such upheaval. Dad, Tyler said one evening as they worked on homework together, do you think I'm bad for not missing Mom? Ben looked at his son carefully. No, buddy. I think you're smart enough to understand that missing someone who hurt you doesn't make sense. Some kids at school said I should be sad about my mom being in prison. What do you think? Tyler considered this. I think I'm sad about the mom I thought I had. But I'm not sad about the mom who lied to us and tried to steal our family. Ben felt a surge of pride in his son's emotional intelligence. That's a very mature way to look at it. Dad, are you going to get married again? The question caught Ben off guard. I don't know. Why? Because I think you should. But this time, maybe we should investigate the person first. Together. Ben laughed, the first genuine laughter he'd felt in months. You want to run background checks on my dates? Maybe not background checks, but we should definitely test them somehow. See if they're really nice or just pretending. Looking at his son, this brilliant, resilient boy who'd helped save their family with his courage and intelligence, Ben felt something he hadn't experienced since before Diana's betrayal. Genuine hope for the future. You know what, Tyler? That's not a bad idea. We make a pretty good team. The best team, Tyler agreed. And Dad, next time, let's make sure she loves both of us for real. Ben pulled his son into a hug, marveling at how someone so young could be so wise. Diana had tried to destroy their family, but instead, she'd only made it stronger. She'd thought she was manipulating a weak man and an ignorant child, but she'd underestimated both of them completely. The final irony wasn't lost on Ben. Diana had spent years planning to take everything from him, but in the end, she'd given him the greatest gift possible, proof that his son was truly his, in every way that mattered. Tyler had chosen his father over his mother, truth over lies, loyalty over betrayal. As for Diana, Craig, and Rick, they were learning that crossing Benjamin Morrison came with consequences that lasted a lifetime. Ben never forgave, never forgot, and never showed mercy to those who threatened his family. And he never would. The Morrison family was now just 2 people, but it was complete. They'd survived the ultimate betrayal and emerged stronger, smarter, and absolutely unbreakable. Diana could rot in prison for all Ben cared. She'd made her choices, and now she could live with them forever. Ben and Tyler had better things to do than waste another moment thinking about the woman who'd thrown away everything that mattered for absolutely nothing. The last laugh, as always, belonged to Benjamin Morrison. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.